Why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are, what style of yoga you teach, and your beautiful studio.
Thank you. I'm Regeesh Vattakandy. I learned yoga from Kerala, where I live, where I'm born. Then I started practicing yoga for like one and a half years there. So yoga really changed me. I was clinically depressed at the age of 20.
Wait, so you were clinically depressed at the age of 20?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you find yoga?
I practiced yoga when I was 17 for 6 months. And I kind of got a glimpse of it. I know that can lead me to happiness, but somehow at 17 you don't want to go for yoga classes. Then 20 I realized that yoga can take me out of it. Actually, then I started practicing yoga, actually morning and evening, 2 times. And 1 year I changed completely. A person who cannot face an audience was deeply unhappy, become really happy. My postures changed, my confidence changed, everything changed in me. And I thought, if yoga can bring that change in me, I should take yoga and help people actually to change, touch their lives so that they can be a bit more happier.
Right.
And then I was searching for a course, and those days I couldn't find a good course. And finally I heard about Bihar School of Yoga.
Which school of yoga?
Bihar School of Yoga.
Okay.
I went there, I stayed the 2 years, I did my master's in yoga psychology.
Oh, great.
Yes, and then I started teaching in Bangalore for 6 months, then I went to Malaysia. I was teaching there 4.5 years.
Yes.
Then came back to Bangalore and started teaching here. And 2 years back I started Ayana Yoga Academy, and where we train teachers and it's a learning center for yoga.
Here.
Yes.
And you've been here for how long?
5 years.
5 years. And this is your studio?
Yes, it's my studio. Thank you.
Wow, it's a beautiful studio.
Thank you.
I have some questions to
Please
ask
ask.
that I think a lot of people, especially when I have students in the United States, first of all, I always get this question, is yoga a religion? So what is your answer? Is yoga a religion?
Okay, there are two words here. One is religion and one is yoga. And if you don't understand religion and if you don't understand yoga, you don't know what actually it is. Religion, usually you identify with when you're coming from West, Christianity or Muslim.
Right.
Here, religion is not a structured religion. And it's a lot of different philosophies, thoughts. And people believe in different philosophies. It's not same. So we have a lot of science in India. We have Ayurveda, we have yoga, we have many other sciences, like if it is astronomy or many other sciences. So if this science is used by people of India who believe in religion, Hindu religion, it's actually not a religion, because here it's a path of different systems. Okay, and it is not important for you to go to a temple, being a Hindu. It's not important for you to believe in Hindu gods. So the path and the destination is actually two different things. So usually religion focus on the path. Here the destination is important. It's not the path is not important. So in Indian system, the philosophy, you can choose any path. You can believe in Jesus, you can believe in Muhammad, but the destination is different.
Well, this is very important. For me as a teacher, I find it heartbreaking sometimes that people think that they can't take yoga because they're afraid that they will become Hindu or Buddhist. And so this way to approach them, to make them feel more comfortable. I like the fact that you said it's a science.
It's a science. It's science. It's complete by itself. It doesn't need support of any religion.
Right.
But whenever a person or the yoga actually is in India, or people in India have been practicing yoga, so naturally it is, this religious association can come with it.
Right.
So if you ask me Ayurveda is Hindu, you can never say that Ayurveda is Hindu, because it's a science. But you can see some elements of Hindu system in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a god.
Mm-hmm.
There is a god of Ayurveda. But we have a, so same way, but there is less association in yoga, even than Ayurveda. Yoga doesn't talk about religion.
Right.
Patanjali doesn't talk about religion. What you can find common in Patanjali and Hindu religion is the Om sound.
Right.
That is the only sound. He just talk about Ishvara, which means God.
Right.
Doesn't mean particularly any God.
Right.
Okay, so Om is the only element of Hinduism which is common in it, yoga. And if you take Hinduism as a religion, but it is not a structured religion.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think because yoga started 5,000 years ago, and some of it comes from texts that also Hindu uses and Buddhist uses. I think that's where people think, oh, it's only that. So that's a great answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Because we want everyone to be able to do yoga.
Yes.
Right. I think it's good for everyone. How do you feel about the modern yoga? The fact that it's a $27 billion business in the United States, where I come from. How does that make you feel? Do you think that's a good thing?
Yoga is evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to evolve according to the needs of the society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can't present a topic of masters to a student of first standard.
Right.
So any science needs to be presented according to the mindset of the people.
Right.
Okay, so otherwise they won't take it.
Right.
Okay, when the mind is moving fast, you cannot introduce a very slow yoga.
Right.
So you give yoga which is going along with the speed of the mind, then use that yoga to slow down the mind. Right. Rather than, oh, this is yoga, this has to be practiced this way, there's no other way. That is too dogmatic.
Right.
And our body is not same. If you take the body of a person who is young at the age of young at 1970 or young at 2015, it's a two different body. Mm-hmm. We are not same anymore. Our hip is not same. Our joints are not same. We need a lot of adjustment, changes, and our mind is not same. Our mind is really moving fast, and yoga in its original form is very slow.
Yes.
And people will actually rebel. The mind will rebel, not people. The nature of the mind will rebel when you give a very slow yoga. So why don't you do it a bit fast?
And that's okay.
That is okay. So if Surya Namaskar is part of yoga, but certain tradition they don't consider it, but it is movements with the breath. And then Vinyasa and modern yoga is part of yoga.
Right.
Yes.
And now it's become even faster. Hot, fast yoga. But I think that a lot of those people would never ever walk into a yoga studio. Yes. So it's almost like a step.
Yes, it's a step. A lot of yoga teachers started their first yoga class in gym.
Yeah.
And if the gym is not presenting yoga with all its limitations, they won't come to yoga.
Right.
Okay. So let yoga extend to wherever it is, whatever form it is, but eventually they will come to the real yoga.
Okay.
Yeah.
I found what was interesting. There was that International Yoga Day was just established in India.
Yes.
I believe it was established December 11th, 2014, from the new Prime Minister.
Yes.
Now, why did it take that long for an International Yoga Day to be established, do you think?
The awareness was, anything come into form, it will take its own time. Nothing is late. And we are just ready for that now. That's what I say.
Right.
Because if you look at yoga is more practiced in yoga these days, and more people practice in the West. So nobody took an initiative from the West to do that, and somebody from India has to take an initiative, and our Prime Minister took the initiative. And because of the growing awareness in yoga, so we are actually reaching that, or more number of people in India practicing yoga, that awareness actually may be made our Prime Minister too.
So it's interesting that this movement from the West ignited this feeling of almost taking or owning what was culturally started here.
Yes.
And another thing that I find interesting is everybody that I've ever talked to in the United States when I teach, they assume that every person in India does yoga.
Less number of people practice yoga here, and now more number of people are. You can see a lot of studios in Bangalore coming up. Every month we have new studio coming up. Yeah, every month more than one studio is coming up.
Do you feel that most yoga teachers feel like how you feel? Most Indian yoga teachers love the modern movement,
it's not loving the modern movement, it's accepting the reality, and it is helping the yoga to spread. But eventually you have to slow down. So look at the contrast in yoga. See, first of all, you need to understand that yoga is a science which uses the body. And the yoga which is presented now is more about physical yoga. And physical yoga is measurable. I'm better than you in some posture, or you are better than me in some posture. So the technique itself brings a lot of comparison. Technique itself actually help you to use the basic mind of you, which is comparison, competition, jealousy, whatever it is. And the idea is to move from the basic mind to the higher mind, or basic brain to the higher mind. So when you use the body for a spiritual growth, your individuality or your evolution, and when you use the technique which is measurable, there's a lot of problems. And basically when I see Western practitioners, they are too much into their body, they are too much into their alignment, which destroy the experience. So consider yoga is an experience. You are doing a forward bend. Okay, so at the level of form, you are better than me, or I am better than you. Okay, but at the level of feeling, what is the difference? There's no difference. But most of the time, in externalized society, using a measurable technique can always caught up with the technique, forgetting the experience that actually yoga leads to.
Right.
And that is happening all around. You can see most of the yoga practitioners are too body conscious.
Right.
Yoga is supposed to take you from body to mind, to inner self, or it has to be an internal journey. So majority of the yoga practitioners are stuck up with their body, and they cannot come out. So from the very beginning, if you practice yoga, you need to counterbalance it by pranayama and relaxation and meditation. A yoga which is presented, a hatha yoga which is presented without pranayama, relaxation, meditation, can eventually stop your growth as a practitioner. Without doubt.
Right.
Yeah. Because your outer shape of your self is coming from the element of earth. Outer shape of your mind is formed from the element of earth. And you work on an element of earth, your physical body, actually strengthen the mind, the outer shape of the mind. You have two selves, inner self and outer self. Outer self is formed from the earth element. So you're strengthening the earth element, the outer self, which actually stops you going to the inner self. And that is very common. When you practice in the beginning, you can find a lot of improvement, a lot of good feeling, happiness. And after a few years, you don't change that. You're stuck up. You're stuck up. You don't grow from there. A lot of teachers I saw, a lot of practitioners I saw actually stuck up there.
Right, they're stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck.
Another question is, how do you feel when someone like Bikram, as famous as he is, tries to patent his yoga moves? How does that make you feel?
See, yoga is all about giving. Okay, being spiritual is to give. And you use that to get something wrong with your practice. And Bikram does that, then something wrong with his practice. Yeah. What he wants. I can take more money. If it's all about giving. So nobody patented yoga in India. The sciences of in India is actually given to the humanity. Okay, take it.
Right.
prosper or
It's not patented,
evolve.
right?
It should not be patented
Right.
by anybody actually.
Are they trying to patent, do you think, now?
It is actually the court. I don't think it is
I don't
allowed.
think
You know, the court actually came out with that nobody can patent
Right.
yoga. Yeah.
Well, Bikram, he fought it. He
Yeah.
was trying.
Yes. That's a sad affair. You know, the science actually educate you to give, and you use that science to get.
Right.
That's too contradictory.
It's sad.
It's not. It should not
Right?
go along.
I think it's kind of sad.
It is sad.
Right?
It is sad.
How do you think yoga could unite the world as far as what's going on right now with different types of religions and the violence? Do you think that there's a way that if we keep going forward is that we can unite the world of religions?
If people are not focusing on the techniques, the paths, there is always a chance to get united.
Mm-hmm.
And yoga is the best because it is non-religious. You don't need to take any religious elements if there, but there's no religious elements because when you take yoga from India and yoga teachers belongs to that Hindu way of worshipping, you don't need to follow that. You just take the science of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there is always a possibility that yoga can unite people, and that is the only science actually can unite people. You know, when religions comes, there is my religion and your religion is there. When it comes to yoga, it's not that my yoga and your yoga is same.
Yeah,
it's same.
It's one.
It's one. It's one. And when whoever practices that actually get the same feeling. It's a science. That's why it is called science. You know, you grow in whatever the text says, you experience that
Mm-hmm.
as you practice yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were the prime minister and you could do, say, bring in any type of law or any type of thing into your country, if you were prime minister of the day, what would you?
I'll give incentive to people to practice yoga because then I don't need to spend money on police much. I don't need to spend money on law and order because yoga actually brings the law and order in control because more people practice yoga, it affects the collective mind of the society. And 100 people practicing yoga, that will have that effect on the collective mind. And more people practicing, definitely India would be a peaceful country, then you can actually cut down the expenses. So give incentive to people, you know.
Right.
Yeah, to practice yoga, and it would be like everybody practicing yoga would be like the world would be much peaceful and a worthy place to live.
We wouldn't spend the money on defense and war.
Yes, defense and war. Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of a lot.
Who is your hero? If you have one person to pick, who would be your hero?
Osho.
Osho. I use his book
Yes.
for class, for theming.
Yes.
That would be.
Yeah. He made me free from religion, from dogmatic way of seeing things. So he gave me a lot of freedom. He's the hero for me.
And then one other thing. What is your favorite yoga posture?
Favorite yoga posture?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I never thought of
No.
favorite yoga postures because I don't see. I like to practice advanced postures,
Mm-hmm.
but I always focus more on the feeling actually. So I never thought of my favorite postures.
And if there was one thing you could tell the whole world, what would you tell them? If there was one thing that you thought was the most important thing to tell the whole world, I think how to be the happiest, what would you say to them?
Practice yoga.
Practice yoga?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I think
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This has been a dream of mine to come here and to really know and understand yoga even better. And your insight was unbelievable. You're a master,
Thank
and
you.
you're just you have no idea how many people are just going to love everything that you've said.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here and practicing with me.
Thank you.